it doesn't last by itself, that particular sound. Is there a chance that we can get a whiteboard?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we may want to get it. So the letter is, I did not say it right, because if I say it right, you can't even listen to it. You can't even hear it. I said tu. I said as if ta has woo sound after it. That's what lot of people, when they read that mantra, or even, for example, Gayatri mantra. When you read the Gayatri mantra, at the end you have the word prachodayat. It's actually prachodayat. That yat is one letter, one akshara, because there is a consonant called I, yakaram, and then a, and then vowel, which is the prana of that akshara, and then which perishes by itself. But because it's hanging on to ya, now it can exist. If you want to pronounce it just in a vacuum, just by itself, you can't even pronounce that sound. You can't say. A lot of people end up saying it as prachodayat, they make it tu or something, then they can pronounce it. But the correct pronunciation, and also teachers used to say it because they want students to understand what he's saying. If I just say prachodayat, you will not even know if it's prachodayat or prachodayan or prachodayat. They will all sound basically the same if I say it perfectly. So teachers approximate it. At the end, instead of saying prachodayat, they say prachodayat, so that the student understands what the mantra is. But what happened is, in the flow of time, basically that became the way to say. A lot of people say prachodayat instead of saying prachodayat. But that's the right way. Anyway, the point is, when you count letters, don't count that as a letter. Even though the way a lot of people pronounce it, it ends up being a letter by itself. But ideally, it is not a letter by itself. So when you count aksharas, make sure that those half letters without prana, without an vowel, are not counted as letters. And if you have Om in front of a mantra, Om also counts as a letter. So if you just say, like I said in the last class, if you just say Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, that's the Panchakshari mantra. Namah Shivaya. So there are 5 letters in it. And talking about the number of words, before I started recording, he asked a nice question. The question is, Namah Shivaya is technically made up of 2 words, Namah and Shivaya. So do you count it as 2 words or as 1 word? The thing is, if you take each word, if you start looking at its vyutpatti, how the word is formed, again this word is made of so many different words. So if you combine 2 words to make a word, either by sandhi or by samasam, it becomes 1 word. So when you say Namah Shivaya, it is 1 word. When you say Namah Shivaya, when you break it, when you remove the sandhi, when you say Namah Shivaya, if you pronounce it like that, taking little breath in between those 2 words, Namah Shivaya, then it becomes 2-worded. It's a 2-worded mantra. And then the impact of the mantra is totally different. The source is 2nd house, the destination is 5th house, and so on. So for those who missed the last class and did not listen to the audio, the basic philosophy is the source of the mantra is number of aksharas or letters. And the destination of the mantra is number of, this is the destination, I'm sorry. And the source of the mantra is number of words. And then there is a thing called Devata Sthana. This is very important in a mantra. This is the house in your horoscope where the god or the goddess of the mantra sits and blesses your puja. And the Devata Sthana, how you find it is, from the source house, count houses up to destination house, and count the same number of houses from the destination house. So if you take Namah Shivaya, there are 5 letters, Namah Shivaya. So 5 letters and 1 word. So it's a the source is 1, 1st house, and the destination is 5th house. And the Devata Sthana for this becomes, how many houses from 1 to 5? Just subtract 1 from 5. It's 4. So add that 4 to 5 again. So you get 9. So this is basically 5 plus 5 minus 1. So the 9th house is the Devata Sthana. When you say Namah Shivaya, if you repeat that mantra, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, when you say that, Shiva sits in your 9th house. And what is the 9th house? It's the house of Dharma. It's also the house of Guru, teacher. It's also the house of religion. So Shiva sits in your house of Dharma and he blesses your puja. That's a very auspicious house. You will see that lot of mantras given in scriptures, they have the Devata Sthana in the 9th house. Especially for Shiva, the 9th house is very auspicious because he is the Guru. He is the Paramaguru of the universe.
What happens when you take Panchadasi or something which are beyond 10, they are 15?
Yeah, I will come to that later. If you have more than 12 houses, you basically remove 12. Keep removing 12 until you get a number, modulo 12 basically. Until you get a number between 1 and 12. So that is basically what you do. Yes.
Is it kind of similar to in the numerology? Like in the numerology, they count the words and
yeah.
Is it something like
Yeah, that is also based on the same basic principles.
Okay.
Whenever you repeat the same sound pattern many times, depending on the words in it and the letters in it, there is certain activity that's going on within you spiritually and also neurologically. There is a certain activity going on within you, and all these formulas basically try to capture how that works. And the question that was asked, another question that was asked is, if you take a mantra called Namo Ramaya, if you say Namah Ramaya, that is 2 words. Namah is 1 word we pray to, and Ramaya is to Rama, that is another word. These are 2 words. But when you combine them, after Visarga, if Ra comes, Visarga becomes O. That is Visarga Sandhi. So Namah plus Ramaya becomes Namo Ramaya. And then it becomes 1 word. Don't treat it as 2 words. Even though some people may write it with a blank in between the 2 words when they print it in a book, that's basically for convenience. That's done for convenience. It doesn't make it 2 words just because somebody chose to print it that way. So Namo Ramaya is 1 word. And also, when you pronounce it, when you say the mantra, don't say Om Namo Ramaya. That is Ram. Say Namo Ramaya without any break. Because if you put a break, Visarga doesn't become O. It becomes O only when Ra comes immediately after it. So whenever you do Sandhi, you have to say it together without any break. So this is Namo Ramaya. And the question was, this also has 1 word and 5 letters. So Namah Shivaya and Namo Ramaya, are they similar? Are they exactly, do they have the same impact on you? The answer is, the source house and the destination house are the same. So both the mantras increase your abilities, increase your punya, the 5th house. But in the Devata Sthana, even though it is the same, the God who sits in that house is different. In one house you are putting Rama in your Guru Sthana, in another case you are putting Shiva in your Guru Sthana. And Shiva is the natural Guru of the universe, whereas Rama is not a Guru. He is a warrior. He is a great warrior. He is the Atma of the universe because he represents sun in the Avtaras. He is the Atma. He represents Atma Bala. He is the king. He is a warrior. So, if you have Rama placed in the 9th house, it's not as powerful as Shiva being placed in the 9th house. From Rama, what you want is more than knowledge and ability, because 5th house is your scholarship and ability. The result of this house, this mantra goes into the 5th house. From Rama, what you want is initiative, drive, determination, and then ability to win over enemies. That's what you would say from Rama. And also the Atma Bala, the strength of the willpower. That is what you ask from Rama. So even though the mantras look very similar, they are not exactly the same because the Devata sitting in the Devata Sthana is a different Devata. Eraser. Are we missing the eraser? There is no eraser in this. Yeah, okay. Okay, we'll just continue.
Today we have 10
Today?
We have 10 no errors.
Yeah.
Last time no.
Okay. So let me give another example mantra. This is the mantra that I read after reading Ganesha mantra at the beginning of the class. This is a Gayatri mantra. This mantra is in Gayatri Chandas, and Vishwamitra is the Maharishi. Vrishabham Chashaninam. Does anybody remember? Vishwarupa Madabnabhyam Bhyam. Vishwa Rupa Madabhyam. Vishwarupa Madabhyam Brahaspatim Varenyam. Thank you. Okay, I got that also. Thank you anyway. Okay. So, does anybody know whose mantra this is? Brahaspati, that is the teacher of God. And I said that Brahaspati is nothing but the intelligence within us. And at the universal level, he is the intelligence of the whole universe. He is basically the teacher of God. So, go through the exercise of counting words and letters. Who can help me in counting words? Somebody help me in counting words. Okay, you help, Pali.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, Vrishabham is one word. Tashaninam is one word. Vishwarupam Adabhyam is another word. Even though it's formed from Vishwa, Rupam, Adabhyam, there are three words in it. Vishwa and Rupa, there is a samasa between them that becomes one word, Vishwarupa. And then Vishwarupam Adabhyam, there is a sandhi between them and it becomes Vishwarupam Adabhyam. But it's one word. Finally, after samasa and sandhi, it becomes one word. No, it's Mada. Vishwarupam Adabhyam. And then Brahaspatim is one word. Brahaspatim Varenyam, the supreme one, the great one. So that is another word. So how many words? 5 words. So the source is the 5th house. When I say source, what happens is, when you read this mantra, whatever energies are there, positive energies are there in your 5th house, they are taken. And they are used for enriching your next house, the destination house. How many letters? 1. Guru is 1. I will keep counting. If I make a mistake, let me know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So, the destination of this mantra goes into 21st house, which is, if you remove 9 from it, what does it become? 9. If you remove 12 from it, what does it become? 9. 9. I was thinking of the answer. So, where is the Devata Sthana for this? Devata Sthana, the destination is 9th house. Devata Sthana, how do you find it? See the difference between these two. 9 minus 5 is 4. Now add that 4 to 9 to the destination. So it is 13. 13 means 1. If you remove 12 from it, it becomes 1. So this mantra is a 5-9-1 mantra, so to say. Just to create our own terminology, this is a 5-9-1 mantra, which means it takes the 5th house. If there are any negative energies in the 5th house, it cancels them and takes those positive energies in the 5th house and uses them to enrich your 9th house. What is 9th house? Your dharma, your guru, your religiousness, your righteousness. All these are 9th house. So, it basically shapes your abilities and creates your dharma from it. So, this dharma will make you more dharmic. There is actually another mantra of Brahaspati. When you do Satyanarayana Puja or any puja where Navagrahas are worshipped, there is another mantra that scholars read for Brahaspati instead of this mantra. That is Brahaspate Atidaryo, that mantra. Araha Jumadhumadu Katamajaneshu, Adidaya Chausapta Prajata Kadasmasu Dravinam Dehi Chitram. That mantra is for Dravinam, it's for money. That's the Artha Gayatri or Karma Gayatri of Brahaspati. That mantra is for money. But this mantra is called the Dharma Gayatri of Brahaspati. This mantra is for Dharma. If you want to pray to Jupiter, the teacher of gods, to make you more dharmic, then this is the mantra. And also what this mantra does is it not only shapes your 9th house, but if there are any negative energies in the 4th house, 5th house, it cancels them. So if there are any weaknesses in your ability, it basically makes sure that those weaknesses do not affect you. And whatever strength you have, those strengths will be used to define your dharma and to enrich your dharma. And what about the Devata Sthana? 1st house. The 1st house is? Soul. But it's basically you and your essence of being. And if Jupiter is there in that house, it's very auspicious. Actually, we will learn later that there is a thing called Digbala, I mentioned it earlier, which shows where the strength of the 4 Purusharthas. For Dharma, 1st house is the base. And there are 2 planets who stand for Dharma, Buddha and Guru. If those planets are in the 1st house, they get Digbala, a lot of Digbala. So, First house is the house where Jupiter gets full 100% Digbala, and because of what that means is Dharma will be very strong for that person. So first house is very auspicious for Guru to be in, and it will make you very intelligent. So if you read this mantra, it will make you very intelligent. It will tap the inherent source of intelligence, and it will make you very, very dharmic. For me, 9 is the destination. No, Devatasthana is the last one, the third one. You count from destination, how many houses, that depends on the difference between source to destination. You find destination minus source and add that to the destination, and then you get Devatasthana. So we got 1, 13 or 1 as the Devatasthana. That is where that particular Devata sits. And then he sits there and transfers energy from one house to another house. So that sthana is very, very important. So if I take another mantra, this is Triyambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam. Sugandhim pushti. Does anybody know what is the chandas of this mantra? Sanushtup, yes, perfect. Urvarukamiva. I'll write here. It's Bandhanat, but after Sandhi it becomes Bandhanan. Bandhanan Vrichor Mukshiya. Kaksha was bad. Mamratat. Now let's count the number of words and letters in this mantra. How many words are here? First count the letters. Triyambakam, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Tat is one word. T is not a, Tat is one letter. T is not a letter. So it is 32 letters. Right? How many words? Triyambakam is one word. Yajamahe is one word. Sugandhim is one word. Pushtivardhanam is one word. Urvarukamiva is actually Urvarukam plus Iva, like Urvaruka. But still it becomes one word. And here Bandhanat, Mrityo, Mukshiya. All the three words together after Sansi, they become one word. Bandhanan, Mrityo, Mukshiya. But you have to remember that when you read this mantra, to get the intended impact, you have to read this as one word. If you say Bandhanan, Mrityor, Mukshiya, then it becomes two words. So you have to say Bandhanan, Mrityor, Mukshiya in one breath, without pausing after Bandhanan. Then Mamrutat. This is one word. So how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. So there are 7 words in this mantra. So this mantra is 7. What is 32 after you remove multiple of 12? If you remove 24, it's 8th house. And then where is the Devatasthana? 9. Why? Because 8 minus 7 is 1. So you add that 1 to 8. If you add that 1, you get 9. So this is Devatasthana. To answer your question earlier, this is the source, this is the destination, this is Devatasthana. If there are any impurities here, they will be clean. And if there are any weaknesses here, they will be strengthened. This house, this is a boost. By whom? By the Devata of the mantra, Mrityunjaya, who sits in 9th house. Again, Shiva is placed in the 9th house of protection, the 9th house of Guru, the 9th house of Dharma. And I haven't really covered this so far, but when we go to the topic of longevity, life and death, we will see that 7th house is the Maraka Sthana and the 8th house is the Ayush Sthana. 8th house shows longevity and the length of life, and the 7th house shows the break of death. Because this is the 12th from 8, this shows loss of longevity. This shows the death. So 7th is Maraka Sthana and 8th is Ayush Sthana. So any malefics afflicting your marana, Mrityunjaya will suppress them and take those energies and instead enriches your Ayush. So this mantra will give you long life. That is and Shiva again sits in the 9th house, which is a very auspicious house for Shiva to sit in. Whenever you do a mantra for Shiva, it is very auspicious to have him in the 9th house. Similarly, the mantras that you normally read, you can basically analyze those mantras using this. And the thing about mantras is, if the mantras are pronounced correctly, the way they are meant to be, all the mantras given by our ancient, our scriptures and ancient rishis, they are designed in a beautiful way. Those mantras, they fit the nice pattern. The Devadasthana will be naturally very auspicious. Even if you don't really calculate and find it, it will be very auspicious. But like I said in the last class, you can see your own horoscope, see which houses need strengthening, and then based on it, you can choose the right mantra for you, and then the impact will be more immediate. And now the question is, some of you may be wondering, does it apply? Yes. Okay. First I'll take Kiran's question. Kiran.
When you say a particular house, how do you go about assembling that house? Then you just I can think about looking at astrological course for this type of
This is a loaded question. So we will slowly go through that.
Okay.
We'll slowly go through that. Yes.
So from your part, how you choose the specific mantra?
That is what I said. First you decide which devata you want to worship, which god. Again, there are links to the horoscope to deciding that god or goddess, that I will cover later. But once you know which god, to see how many letters, you see which house needs to be strengthened. If a particular house, for example, somebody's 10th house is weak, and then he came to you, he said, my job, I'm not happy in my job. I want to be successful, but I'm not successful, I'm not happy. Then you take the 10th house, which is the house of career. And then you try to find a mantra that has 10 letters, or a mantra that has 22 letters, or 34 letters, and so on. And then you see which god will give him success in career. And then you give a mantra for that god, which has 10 letters. And then also, ultimately, if you know which house is really strong, for example, maybe somebody's 3rd house is very strong, which means he has a lot of drive, lot of burning desire. Because 3rd house is the house of desire, starting of desire, initiative, the drive, motivation. So maybe that is strong and he's not able to get results and he's frustrated. So in that case, divert the energies from the 3rd house to 10th house. Take a mantra that has 3 words and 10 letters. That will be very auspicious for that person. So there are thousands of mantras. There are thousands of mantras. You could choose any mantra. So if a particular mantra is in harmony with your own horoscope, it will work even faster. But let me tell you, any mantra will give you results. It's not that one mantra is bad for you, because every house needs strengthening in our chart. It's not that one particular house is perfect. For nobody it is the case. So every mantra is good, but certain mantras will give certain results very fast. Yes, Kiran?
So, holding all these into one question actually.
Yes.
Do we go about, say, chanting 12 mantras a day, or is there one generic mantra that will apply to?
You can chant as many mantras as you want. Some people just choose one particular mantra and then that's it for them. Some people use tens or hundreds of mantras, they chant them every day. It's a personal choice. You could, depending on what you want. Do you want moksha, then there is one god for, there may be one god based on your horoscope. If you want dharma, if you want to do dharmic work, there may be one god. If you want success and career, there may be one god. I will go through deciding the gods later, but there is no single mantra. You can do so many different mantras. Again, there are different opinions. Some people do 108. But the general principle is, if a mantra you are reading has n letters, throughout your life, not just in one sitting, you should do it n lakh times. N lakh means n by 10 million times. Is it right? Yeah, n by 10 million times. You should read it so many times. N laksha basically. For example, Namah Shivaya, you should read it 5 lakh times. If you take Vrishabham Chashtaninam, this mantra that I wrote, which had how many? 21 letters? Vrishabham Chashtaninam, not Yamatam Najam. 21. So you should read it 21 lakh times in your lifetime to get siddhi of that mantra. to get the perfect results of that mantra.
You mentioned that Shiva in 9th house is
Auspicious.
Guru. Like that from first house to 12th house, are there like respective goddess like that?
It's not a one-to-one correspondence.
Okay.
It's a one-to-many correspondence. Excuse me. The 9th house is auspicious for many cards,
Okay.
not just Shiva. First house is, like I said, it is Dharma. So if you are talking about just planets, because when you talk about gods, there are millions of them, hundreds, thousands of them. If you talk about planets, when you have Mercury and Jupiter, for them the first house is very auspicious. For Sun and Mars, the 10th house is auspicious. Like that, I'll talk about them later because I want to cover another topic. But one thing you remember, any form of Shakti, the Divine Mother, for her, 3rd house is extremely auspicious. 3rd house is the house of initiative, drive, and only Shakti can give that. If you read a mantra of Jupiter or Mercury, placing them, putting the Devata Sthana in the 3rd house, it's not so auspicious. But when you are praying to Shakti, when she is in your 3rd house, your house of desire, your house of initiative, she will give you so much energy to do things. You can do anything. So when you select a mantra for Devi, for Shakti, 3rd house is extremely auspicious as a Devata Sthana. Yes, pardon?
One
Yes,
question before you
please.
Last class you mentioned something on that Horas for
Yeah.
why was ultimately when it's weekdays, why was the Rahu and Ketu left out there? Why only other 7 are chosen for the weekdays?
Not weekdays, for Horas basically. For Horas,
I mean the weekdays.
it's based on the Horas. Weekday order is based on the Horas. So we basically, for Horas, we took the planets in the order of the rotation around the Earth. We could have taken Rahu and Ketu, but they don't have a body. And this was limited to planets who have a body. And later when we cover all the Panchanga elements, we will see that weekday represents Agni Tattva and it represents physical vitality. For example, when you choose a Muhurtam for doing a particular thing, the strength of the Varahipati, for example, you do something on Sunday, Sun becomes the Varahipati. If you do something on Budhavaram, Wednesday, Buddha or Mercury becomes the Varahipati. So Vara is very important for Agni Tattva. All these 5 elements, Panchanga, Nakshatra, Yoga, Karna, Vara, Tithi, these are mapped to the Panchabhutas, Agni, Bhu, Jala, Vayu, Akasha. And then Vara is of Agni Tattva, and Jala is of, Tithi is of Jala Tattva, and so on. And Agni Tattva rules physical vitality, physical existence. And Rahu and Ketu are the exceptions to physical existence. They don't have a physical existence. They don't exist physically. They are just shadows. So, in some other Panchanga elements, they are given representation. But for Agni Tattva, which shows the physical existence and physical vitality, they are not given representation.
One last question.
Yes.
I'm going off on a tangent if I apply the same mantra rule to what you write in your emails, may Jupiter's light shine upon us.
Shine on us.
Shine on us.
Yeah.
Can we?
Yeah, you can do the analysis and you can find what is the impact of that.
Okay.
Okay, you can do that and tell me later.
How do I split the word?
Based on the pronunciation. So I'll do another example. Now the question is, when I say mantra, when you say repeat a certain thing, certain energies are generated within you. When I say that, is it limited to Sanskrit mantras, Telugu mantras? Is it limited to only Hindu mantras? What if a Muslim chants a particular thing many times? That is a mantra too. It's a mantra in its own right. You are praying to certain god, certain image that you have in your mind with certain goal. So that also creates certain energies within you. So I'll give an example of a mantra used by Parsi people in Zoroastrian religion. They have a sacred thread ceremony. It's called Kusti. In that ceremony, they read this mantra in the sacred thread ceremony, and you can read it as many times as you want later. This is related to the sacred thread. Basically, their dharma. Basically, it's related to their dharma. The mantra. My pronunciation or even writing may not be perfect. Snaotra, Ahurahe. You don't have to really write it down unless you decide to practice this. Ahurahe, Masda, Ashem Vohu, Kemna, Masda, Ashem Vohu. This is a mantra I believe given in the book called Avesta, which is the equivalent of Vedas, the Zoroastrian equivalent of Vedas. So this mantra is associated with the sacred thread. Krishna Otra Ahrahe Mazda Ashem Vohu Kemna Mazda Ashem Vohu. I apologize for any mispronunciation. Even though there are no passes here, there may be some who listen to the audio. So if that is the case, I apologize for any mistakes. But if you count the number of letters in this, how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, just like the Vrishabham Jasnina mantra. Which means which house? 9th house. If you remove 12 from it, it is 9th house. How many words? Now, Otra Ahurahe Mazda Ashem Vohu. Kemna Mazda Ashem Vohu. How many words? 9 words. So the other Sthana will be the same, because the difference is 0. We add 0 to 9, it becomes 9. So Devata Sthana, source, destination, everything is same. This is a mantra basically related to Dharma, religion, Guru, righteousness. So by repeating this mantra so many times, thinking of a particular god called Ashem Vohu, what you will do is you will place Ashem Vohu in your Dharmasthana, and then any weaknesses in the Dharmasthana are cancelled and Dharmasthana receives a boost. So it basically enriches your Dharma. This is a mantra for Dharma. Similarly, in Islam, the basic thing is Allahu Akbar. It is basically like Namaskar, one word and 5 letters. Even though some people these days pronounce it as 2 different words with a break, Allahu Akbar, it's supposed to be 1 word, but when you say it as 2 words, the impact changes. Allah, the Almighty, instead of being in the 9th house of Dharma, he goes to the 8th house, which is the Dhisthana. It's not bad, but it's not the same impact. The impact of the mantra changes based on how you pronounce it. But there is another thing that Muslims read a lot. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This mantra is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This 3-worded mantra, not mantra but basically prayer. This prayer is said at the beginning of anything, like our Sri Ganesh. Just like we pray to Ganesha, they read this. And if you look at the number of letters, Bismillahir, Rah is actually pronounced as 1 word, not Rahmanir. They call it as Rahmanir. So it is 1 letter, 1, 1, 1, 1. So how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letters. So this has 9 letters. And how many words? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So 3 words. 3, 9. So where is the Devata Sthana?
11.
No. 9 minus 3 is 6. So you have to add 6 to 9. So 15. 15 is, after removing 12 is 3. So you are putting the Devata in the 3rd house of initiative, drive. So that is what is blessed. When you read, I mean, I won't call this a mantra, but when you repeat this prayer many times, the impact on you is the energies of your 3rd house, of your drive and initiative are taken and diverted to your 9th house of Dharma, and all this is done by the god of this mantra sitting in the house of initiative. So this is basically about creating initiative relating to Dharma. So like this, these mantras are not really, the rules that I mentioned are not specific to Hindu mantras. You can take any prayers, holy prayers used by people of any religion, and if you look at the number of words and letters and find the Devata Sthana of that mantra, you will get the impact of that mantra, of continuous chanting of that particular prayer. So this applies to any religion. And I will take another religion that is closer to our religion, Hinduism, which is Buddhism. In Buddhism, Buddha is worshipped, and also Tara Devi, the mother of Buddha, is also worshipped. And in Hinduism, she is the wife of Jupiter. She rules over intelligence. Saraswati is another form of her. The mantra is Om Tare Dustare Turye Swaha. Actually, some people read Dustare as Duttare, but probably in all likelihood Dustare is the correct form. Dustare means, Dustara means unsurmountable, badly matched one, which means unmatched one. Om Tare Dustare Turye Swaha. Now let's apply the same principles to this mantra. Can somebody tell me how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 letters in this mantra. How many words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where is the Devata Sthana? The source is 5th house because words are 5, letters are 10. So this is the destination. And 10 minus 5. What is 10 minus 5? 5. So you add that difference to the destination. So to 10 you add that difference. So if you add that, it becomes 15. Which is, if you remove 12 from it, it is 3rd house. So this is a 5, 10, 3 mantra. The Devata Sthana is 3. I said just a while ago that for mantras of Shakti, of Devi, 3rd house is extremely auspicious. The 3rd house of initiative is a very auspicious Devata Sthana for Devi mantras. So this is a mantra of Devi, a form of Devi. Kala Devi is a form of Shakti. So what this does is, it takes your intelligence, your scholarship, your abilities, and then converts them into your activities in society. So if you have lot of knowledge, this mantra will enable you to express that knowledge in society. Perform karma. 10th house is career, karma, profession, activities in society. So all your abilities will be used for performing activities in society, and she sits in your house of initiative and helps in this process. So this is good if you are learned and if you want to use that knowledge in society. This is a very good mantra for chanting.
In the Maynard workshop,
Yeah.
Someone mentioned one of the speakers.
Yeah.
It said that you don't have to recite these mantras yourself. You can even listen to a tape recorder.
Yeah.
And it got the same impact of.
Yeah.
as if
When you are listening, if you are thinking, if you are repeating it mentally, actually mantras can be read vocally, making sound and without making sound also. And it's said to be more auspicious to read it without making sound in your brain. So if you are just listening to a cassette and if your brain is thinking about it and repeating it, that is equally powerful. Now I will conclude with another mantra which also has Devata Sthana in the same 3rd house. This is also a mantra of the Devi. This is called Panchadashi mantra. I am sure a lot of you know that mantra. Can somebody say it? Perfect. Hasakaha Lahri. Oops. The beauty about this mantra is, this has 2 forms. One is simple form, this is the simple form. There is another form of this mantra, which is the Kotabija form. And the beauty about this mantra is, both the forms have the same characteristics. When we find the letters, words, etc., Devata Sthana, they have absolutely the same characteristics. And the Kotabija form is extremely tough to pronounce. Only great sadhakas can even pronounce it correctly. So this is deemed to be appropriate for people like us, this form. And if we apply the principle, by the way, before doing that, I just want to make one comment. Some people say it as Kayayi, just like you did. The difference is, you have to realize that this is an vowel, this particular symbol. And this is a consonant. Similarly, this and this, they are not the same. Similarly, this also. So, if you want to be really, really perfect in your pronunciation, when I write these, if you see that the things on the left, I wrote here, are vowels, they are said to be vowels, there is no consonant in them. But these are consonant plus vowel. And a lot of people mix up these pronunciations, unfortunately. But if you see, they are not the same. Remember one basic thing, in Sanskrit, in Sanskrita, if 2 things are pronounced the same way, there are no 2 different symbols which are pronounced the same way. If they look different, they sound different. If people say them the same way, it's basically a common mistake, but it's not the perfect way. So the difference is, this is E, not E. This is E. When I say E, you will see that the yakara, the E sound, This sound is not coming. This is E. If I say that sound after saying K, it becomes Ki. If I say it after saying E, it becomes E. So K, E, Ki, E, E, E. So like that, when you add that vowel to different consonants, it takes that consonant sound. So this is E and this is E. This is E, this is E. This is A, not A. This is not A. This is A, and this is A. Similarly, this is O and this is O. This is U and this is U. So when you say Om, for example, some people just say Om. But when you say Om, the Bakara is explicit there, which is wrong. The meaning of the sound, the energy of the sound, the rhythm, the vibrations, everything changes when you add a consonant to a sound. So this is not, you should never say Om. You should always say Om. There is no Vakara there. So similarly here, this is not really Kayai Lahrim. The correct pronunciation would be Kayai Lahrim. Kayai Lahrim. Similarly, when you read Mantra Pushpam, for example, there is some priest read as Ya Evam Veda, Yopa Majatanam Veda. It's actually not Ya Evam Veda, because if you see, if you read the actual text, it looks like this. This is not Yavam. Yavam would be, this would be Yavam, which has no meaning in Sanskrit. This is Evam, not Yavam. So, Evam Veda, that's the correct pronunciation. So try to correct the pronunciation, especially of these, especially in this mantra, because this is such a beautiful mantra. Ka-e-i lahrim, hasakah lahrim, sakalahrim. Now let's apply the principles to this mantra. How many, first let's count the words. How many words?
3 words.
1, 2, 3 words. How many letters?
15.
Without counting you would know, because this is called Panchadashi mantra. So 15. 15 means, if you remove 12 from it, it is 3. So source and destination are the same, like for the Zoroastrian Parsi mantra that we saw. They are the same. Now, where is the Devata Sthana?
3.
When both are the same, it will be in the same house. Because the difference is 0. When you add 0, you get the same number. So, this is a 3-3-3 mantra. So, what this means is, this takes your initiative, curbs any negative impulses there, and positive impulses there are enriched. And then the Devi is sitting in your house of determination, doing all this.
Can you repeat the mantra once more so I can get it?
Yes.
Like I read it.
You can't read Hindi? Okay. Ka-e-i lahrim, hasakaha lahrim, sakalahrim. That is the mantra. Sure. You're welcome.
Instead of lahrim, because lahrim.
Pardon me? It's not lahrim, it's lahrim. Yeah. It's lahrim. Lahrim.
The second line is Haskaha Lahrim.
Hasakaha, not has. Hasakaha lahrim, sakalahrim. Yes. You're welcome. Now the beauty about this mantra is, like I said, it has another Kotabija form. This is a simpler form which is appropriate for all people to pronounce. If you teach the Kotabija form to all people, they will make mistakes and the impact of the mantra will totally vary. So only this mantra is taught when you teach it to people. But there is a very, very secretive Kotabija form. I will not give the whole mantra, but I will just say that in that form, this mantra has only 3 letters. Just 3 letters. One letter is called Vag Bija. It is the Bija for the Saraswati Devi, Vag Devata. And the second is called Sri Bija, and the third is called Shakti Bija. And this is the mantra for Tripura Sundari, having all the 3 really, really beautiful and complicated Kota Bijas. And the last thing is probably the easier to pronounce. It's basically Sklharim. And the first 2 are even much more complicated to pronounce. It's just Sklharim. Even this is very complicated to pronounce. So even pronouncing this mantra perfectly is a challenge. But the beauty is, that is not the point. The point is, the beauty is, in that Kota Bija form, this mantra is still the 333 mantra. It has 3 words, 3 letters, and the Devata Sthana is the 3rd house. So whether you do it in the simpler form or the Kota Bija form, irrespective of that, the source is the same, the destination is the same, and the Devata Sthana is the same. The impact is basically the same only. But again, like I said before I started recording, when you take a mantra, it's not just about the statistics, not about just these 3 numbers, the vital statistics of the mantra. This is not the only thing. There is more. Each letter will impact certain house in your horoscope, When you take, for example, Triyambakam Yajamahe, Triyam will impact your first house, Ba impact with your second house, Kam will impact your second house, Kam has Martian energy, so that will impact your third house. So that each letter has certain energies, each letter will play a role. Just by switching two words, changing two words, we will change so much about a particular mantra. And all these mantras, they are not designed by mortals like us. They existed forever, these mantras, and revealed to great seeds by the God himself or herself. So these mantras are just designed in a perfect way. So there is so much going for them. So these two mantras are not exactly the same, but basically they have very similar impact on you. So that's the beauty about this mantra. In two forms, it maintains the same kind of characteristics. Yes.
This blessings they give,
Yeah.
does it have a same impact of this, like somebody said, like Samanam Bhavati, like that, those blessings also calculated like this? They are not
Okay. I'm not really sure. This theory is given for mantras that you repeat many times.
That is for individual benefit. That
Yeah.
is done for somebody else.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. This applies to prayers that you utter many times.
Okay.
When you repeat a particular prayer, it activates certain energies within you. And this theory is basically for capturing how that works. I don't know about prayers or just generally talking. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I think they are basically I bless you 1,000 years of life.
Yeah.
You're
Telling
saying that
you-
in the Sanskrit.
Yeah.
There's no prayer there. You're only blessing that.
Right, but what if I intend a particular person to live forever, to become a Chiranjeevi, and I keep reciting that, let's say, 1 lakh times? It will still have an impact. But I'm not really sure how it works.
Even the mantra is also a translation.
Yeah, exactly. When you say Om Namah Shivaya, or when you say Namah Shivaya, it means I pray to Shiva. But just by saying it so many times, certain energies within you are activated. Just by saying Namah Shivaya many times. I'll just pause and restart.
The same thing on the other one.
Huh? Pardon me? What do you want to do with that 7th house? Is it source or destination or Devata Sthana? If you want 7th house as Devata Sthana, 7th house is the house of desire. The house of desire. So maybe Krishna will be very appropriate. Okay, now we will continue the discussions on Mantra Shastra, choosing the right mantras based on the horoscope later. But I will go back to the astrological theory now. And in the last few classes we talked about planets, signs, and then houses. We said how we count houses. We said what are the basic meanings of different houses. Now there is one more missing piece in learning astrology further. I will introduce that today. It's called divisional charts. Also in Sanskrit they are called Varga Chakras, and there are 16 of these given by Parasara, and some more given by other great scholars like Jaimini and some Tajika scholars like Nilakantha. So there are other divisional charts given, but for now I will restrict myself to those divisional charts that were taught by Parasara in his classic Brihad Parasara Hora Shastram. So what these are is, I said that when you make the Rashi Chakra, Rashi chart, I said that, how do we make Rashi chart? Does anybody remember? We take in the zodiac is basically 360 degrees. We divided the 360 degrees into 12 parts, this two-dimensional plane, and then from the beginning of the zodiac we measure, for example Venus is here right now, we measure how many degrees, and we say that this is Aries, this is Taurus, this is Gemini. So based on it we put that particular planet in that particular house. So that is how we map. Now the thing is, this division, each 30 degrees is being mapped to one Rashi. There are other divisions where you take 3 degrees, 4 degrees, 5 degrees, different divisions, and map them to different Rashis. So that is how divisional charts are made. For example, I will tell you how to make a chart known as Dashamsa. There is a chart known as Dashamsa. Amsa means division. Dashamsa means 10th division. So this is arrived at by dividing each Rashi further into 10 parts. How many degrees are there in each Rashi? 30. So 30 divided by 10 is 3 degrees. So what we do is, we take where a particular planet is, take the longitude of it, and then we divide each Rashi into 10 parts, and then we see, or instead of drawing it here, let me draw it here, in this picture. So I said that this is the beginning of the zodiac and we measure 360 degrees. I said this is one Rashi. We divide this into 10 parts, and the next Rashi into 10 parts. Like this we divide, and we see where a particular planet is, which part it belongs to, and then what happens is, that planet based on which part it is in, even though it is in Aries, Rashi wise, if it is in different parts of Aries, in the Dashamsa Chakra, there is another chart known as Dashamsa Chakra, just like Rashi Chakra. In that, it may not be in Aries, it may be in different signs. And the way mapping is done is, in the case of Dashamsa, the 10 divisions of Aries go into signs Aries, Taurus, Gemini, basically go 10 signs starting from Aries. The first Dashamsa, the first 3 degrees of Aries go into Aries itself. The second one goes to Taurus, third one here, fourth one here, fifth one here, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. This is how you find. And the difference is, for male Rashis, which are Aries, Gemini, Leo, basically all the odd signs, they are called the male Rashis. This is male, 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 male. For these Rashis, you start from that Rashi itself, and for female Rashis, you start from the 9th from there. You start from the Dharma. So I'll take an example, then it will become very clear. Suppose Sun is at 17 degrees in Leo. If Sun is at 17 degrees in Leo, what is the Rashi occupied by Sun in Rashi Chakra, and what is the Rashi occupied in Dashamsa Chakra? We want to find that, okay? In Rashi Chakra it is obvious, he is in Leo. In Dashamsa Chakra, you have to see, if you divide Rashi into 3 degrees, 3 degrees, 3 degrees like the 10 parts, which part is this one? Sixth one, because 17 divided by 3 is 5 and then 2/3. So, if you make 30 degrees into 10 parts, 5 parts are already over, and in the 6th part, 2/3 of it is already over. So that means Sun is in the 6th part, the 6th 3 degree portion. So he is in the 6th Rasi. So once you note 6, you have to find 6 from where? If this is an odd sign, you start from that sign itself. If this is even, we start from the 9th from that. So Leo, is it odd or even? Odd. So Leo is odd. So you start from Leo and count the 6th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So even though Sun is in Leo and Rasi Chakra, in the Dashamsa Chakra, he goes to Capricorn. When you make it's a different chart, it looks totally different. When you make the Dashamsa chart, you will see that Sun is actually placed in Capricorn instead of Leo. And similarly, let me give one more example. Let's say Moon is, or not Moon, let's say Mars is at 22 degrees in Scorpio. So in Rasi chart, Mars will be in Scorpio itself. In Dashamsa chart, where will he be? So how many 3 degree parts are over? 22 divided by 3 is 7 and 1/3. So 7 parts are already over, and in the 8th part, he is 1/3 of the way down in that part. So he is in the 8th part, the 8th 3 degree portion of Scorpio. And where do we count from? Do we count from Scorpio itself or from the 9th from there? Because Scorpio is this one, it's a female sign. We count from the 9th from there. Where is the 9th from there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Cancer. So we start counting from there. So the first 3 degree portion of Scorpio goes to Cancer. The second one goes to Leo. The third 3 degree portion of Scorpio goes to Virgo. So like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Mars will be in Aquarius. If Mars is at 22 degrees in Scorpio, he will be in Aquarius. So like this, different parts of the Rasi, each Rasi is divided into 10 parts for Dashamsa, into 9 parts for Navamsa, into 24 parts for Chaturvimshamsa. Like that, I gave the list of all the charts, and the notation, the symbol I will use is, I will call Dashamsa as D10, which means the division 10, the 10th division. It's just a notation, just an abbreviation. And D24 is basically dividing each Rasi into 24 parts. You take each Rasi, divide into 24 equal parts, and map each part into a different sign. And how do you map it? What is the formula? That's clearly defined by Parasara. And I don't want to go through it here. If you are interested, you can get it from Brihat Parasara Horashastram, or you can even get it from my book, Vedic Astrology and Integrated Approach. And I think if you download, actually I am sorry, I could not still burn the CDs. I'll try to get them next week. But I think not just a commercial software, even in the free software that you can download from the internet, there is some help. There are 2 versions, one with help, one without help. If you download the help, there are some lessons there, and in those lessons you have all the definitions. So if you are curious, you can go through that. But you don't really need to know the definition. Once you have a software, for example, my free software or even the commercial software that I am going to give you free, both the softwares, they give you all these 16 divisional charts. When you enter the date, time and place, the longitude and latitude of the place, it will give you not only the Rasi Chakra, but it will give you Dashamsa, Navamsa, Chaturvimshamsa, all these chakras are given. So I do not want to waste time by going through the definition. But remember that each chart is basically based on dividing each Rasi into those many parts, n parts, 24, 10, 9 and so on. Those many parts, and map each Rasi back, each part back into these 12 Rasis. So when you look at these different divisional charts, they all look like this. They all have the 12 Rasis, the same 12 Rasis, but the planets may be in totally different positions. So when you look at somebody's chart, Rasi chart, if you look at somebody's 10th house in Rasi chart, for example, the 10th house is, I said 10th house is the house of career, karma, the karma that you do, the activities that you engage in, that is 10th house. When you look at it, look at the Rasi chart is basically your physical existence. So it is the physical, at the physical level, what is the work that somebody does. It doesn't necessarily tell you about the career of the person. Because somebody may be a software engineer, or let's say somebody may be a great businessman, but he may be always working so hard. So when you look at the physical chart from the physical point of view, he's a hard worker. There's no difference between him and a laborer, a construction worker, for example. There may not be difference. Both may have the same Rashi chart, but the Dashamsa is different. So one is actually engaging in business, the other is slogging for his daily bread. So the Dashamsa chart, it doesn't necessarily show you what physically somebody does. It shows, when you say somebody is a software engineer or a businessman, what does it mean? Physically, the businessman is only filing some papers, maybe reading some papers, running somewhere, talking to some people. That's the physical work he does. That doesn't tell you much about what is the career that he is in. The physical work is different, but mentally, what is he doing? He's thinking of a business strategy. He's thinking of something. So there is a difference between the two. When you say one's career, it's basically an environmental thing. Unless you know something about the environment in which one is operating, you cannot know what one is actually doing. So all these divisional charts, they talk about various environments under which your body operates. And what the Rashi chart shows is basically what your body is doing. Rashi chart is strictly about body, physical existence, and the Dashamsa is basically more subtle. Other divisional charts, they show subtle things about you. They don't necessarily show what is physically happening to you. I'll just take an example. I'll take the chart of a famous person. I'll tell you who that is later, but for now it's just a famous person. I'll write the Rashi and Dashamsa charts of that person. Okay, the Rashi chart. And it's a lady, it's a famous lady. Good.
No.
Sonia Gandhi's Bhadrata is controversial. We don't know exactly. There are unfortunately. Okay. This lady has Arudha Lagna. The Bhadrata is November 1, for those who are listening to the audio and want to make chart themselves. November 1, 1973, 4:07 a.m. 5:30 time zone is IST, 5:30 east of GMT, and the place, the longitude and latitude are 74 degrees 51 minutes east and 12 degrees 54 minutes north.
Actually, right?
Pardon me?
It's actually.
No. Saturn?
No, 73 means just 31 years old.
Mars? Mars is in the 8th house in Aries. Saturn and Ketu are in the 10th house in Gemini. Jupiter is debilitated in the 5th house, Capricorn. Mercury is in the 3rd house. Sun is in the 2nd house. And then Venus, Moon and Rahu, they are in the 4th house. So this is her Rashi chart. Now, if you have to guess this person's career simply based on the Rashi chart, what is the 10th house? 10th house is Mercury, Mercury's house. It's Gemini. This is ruled by Mercury. So Gemini is in general an intellectual sign. Mercury is an intellectual planet. So the 10th house is an intellectual sign. And who are the planets there? Saturn and Ketu. What kind of career Saturn and Ketu show? Hard work. Disciplined, extremely disciplined, and very, very hard working. So reasonably intelligent person, intelligent work, and very hard working. So a lot of physical labor or physical struggle basically. That's what you would think based on this chart. Now I will make the Dashamsa chart. Then the picture will become so much clearer. There are some astrologers who use only Rashi chart and say everything about a person, but the thing is, we have so many counter examples like twins who are born 3 or 4 minutes apart, who have totally different lives, having the same Rashi chart. So scientifically speaking, Rasi chart is not sufficient to correctly guess everything about a person. All these divisional charts will make it easy to say something about various parts of somebody's life. And in any case, that is what Parasara taught. So we will stick to what Parasara taught, and let's use this Dasamsa chart instead of the Rasi chart to guess this person's career and see if that makes things clearer. In Dasamsa Simha Lagna, Leo will rise with Ketu in it. So naturally Rahu will be in the 7th house with Sun in it. And the 10th lord is Venus. He is with Jupiter in the 5th house. And Saturn is in the 2nd house. Mercury is in the 12th house. And Moon is in the 11th house. Mars is in the 2nd house, 10th house. Now if you look at the Dashamsa Chakra, you will see that Mars, the planet of aggression, that planet is in the 10th house, but who owns the 10th house? The 10th house, I don't know if you remember, but these two signs are ruled by Venus. So the 10th lord is Venus, Shukra. And is 10th lord very strong? Sometimes the lord of the house may dominate and he may completely give the results of the house. And sometimes the occupant of that house may dominate. Here is Mars strong, or what about Venus? See where Venus is placed. He is placed in the 5th house. Do you remember what I told you about 1st, 5th and 9th houses? Dharma, but they are basically Trikona. They are the trines. I said that trines are very auspicious. Trines and quadrants. I said 1, 4, 7 and 10. They are the quadrants. They are Vishnu Sthana. And 1, 5 and 9. They are Trikonas. They are Lakshmi Sthanas. And Lakshmi Sthanas basically show your blessings. Vishnu shows effort and Lakshmi shows blessings. So these are the blessings because of your Purva Punya. Whatever you did in your past life and past several lives, the blessings you get because of it are these 5th and 9th houses. So here, the 9th lord goes into the 10th house. 9th is, so one Trikona lord is in the 10th house, and the 10th lord is in other Trikona. So directly you can say that this is a blessed person. As far as career is concerned, may not be physically.
But nobody is in 9th house, right?
Pardon me, nobody is in 9th house. But the 9th lord is in the 10th house. And the pardon me? No. The trines are, these are trines by themselves, irrespective of whether there is a planet or not. So the point I am making is, 10th house is the crucial house of this chart because this is D10, which shows career. And the 10th house is the house of career. So 10th is crucial. What I am saying is, the 9th lord has gone into the 10th house. And the 10th lord has gone into the 5th house. So 10th house is associated with both 9th house and 5th house. It has a link to both the houses which show blessings, which show fruits. So what that means is because 5th and 9th both have a link to the career, this is a blessed person as far as career is concerned. This person may not be blessed physically, maybe or may not be, we don't know that. You will see that from Rasi chart. But strictly from the point of view of activities in society, this person is extremely blessed, has the blessings of Lakshmi. And now what kind of career? Mars is alone, but Venus is with Jupiter. So Venus will dominate. So the career will be given by Taurus and Venus. It's a Venusian career. Does anybody want to guess what kind of career Venus will give? Entertainment, things related to beauty, things related to enjoyment, entertainment. So that's basically the kind of career that you can guess from this chart. And will it be a successful person? We already saw that this is a blessed person. But does anybody see a Raj Yoga? I mentioned earlier that Vishnu and Lakshmi coming together is Raj Yoga. I said quadrant lord and sign lord coming together is a Raj Yoga. So let's write down the quadrant lords. 1, 4, 7, 10. Who is the lord of first house? Sun. Fourth house is, this is one quadrant, this is another quadrant, this is one more quadrant, and this is the last quadrant. These four are the quadrants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 4, 7, 10 are the quadrants. So lords are Mars here, Sun here, Mars. 7th house is Shani, 10th house is Venus. And now trines, 1, 5 and 9, I said these are Trikonas. So Sun, Mars, Saturn and Venus are the quadrant lords who represent Vishnu, and the trine lords who represent Lakshmi are 1 against Sun, 5, who is fifth lord?
Venus.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is a trine, and then this is another trine. So these are the 3 trines. Sun, this is ruled by Jupiter, and this is 9th is ruled by Mars. So do you see any one of these 4 planets joining any one of these planets in one house? You see Venus and Jupiter here. Venus is the 10th lord, Jupiter is the 5th lord. 5th house is the house of abilities, I said earlier, and also this is the house of your following. If you look at the politician's chart, the 5th house is the house where you see what kind of following he has, whether he has mass following or not. You see from the 5th house, because as far as your career, your activities are concerned, the following you have is directly proportional to your abilities. The more able you are, the more following you have. Your ability is measured in terms of the following you have, in terms of career, in terms of society. So the 5th house shows your subordinates, people who follow you, people who take orders from you. So the 5th house lord and the 10th house lord, quadrant lord and trine lord are together. So is this a Raj Yoga? Yes, this is a Raj Yoga. Especially the Raj Yoga involves the 10th house, which is the main house of this chart. Even though 1, 4, 7 and 10 are all quadrants, the 10th house is the most important quadrant in this particular chart. On the other hand, had we been seeing D24, which is the chart for seeing education, the 4th house would be the most important quadrant there, because 4th house shows learning, and D24 is the chart of learning. So in that chart, 4th house would be the most appropriate, most important key quadrant. But in this chart, 10th house is the key quadrant, and the lord of that house is joining the lord of 5th house in 5th house. So Jupiter is very strong, he is in his own house. So, and also this yoga, Raj Yoga, is not occurring in some Dusthana or some bad house. It's occurring in a Trikona, where Lakshmi's blessings are placed. So this person is a very popular entertainer. This chart actually belongs to Aishwarya Rai, like you guess. I don't know if you remember her birthday, or you just remember the year and guess. You remember the birthday? Fan?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it will fruitify that dasa, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
But this is such a powerful Raj Yoga that it may work throughout the life. If a yoga is really strong, it may operate throughout the life.
So it will start.
It may be triggered at in a particular dasha, when a particular transit comes. There are so many things that are required for triggering of a particular good thing or bad thing in the chart. So when we start doing dashas, we will see. We'll take this example again and see when she really became popular, when she became Miss World, when she came into movies. We'll see that later. But the bottom line is, looking at this chart, it becomes very clear that this is a very successful person with a lot of following. There are so many followers. And then she's an entertainer. She's in a Venusian business. But what about the physical chart, Rasi chart? We see Shani and Ketu in the 10th house. So we said that means discipline, hardworking. We would have guessed it's the chart of a laborer. Physically, she just labors. She probably shoots till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the night. We leave work at 6 o'clock in the evening. But she works so hard. Even though she has so much following, she has to work so hard. Whenever she steps out, she probably has to spend half an hour to decorate herself. So she is always working hard. And Ketu is the planet of moksha. Ketu is the planet of detachment. So she has to be detached at the physical level. She has to be detached from her sukha. So whatever people expect from her, she just has to do it. And Shani shows discipline and hard work. Whenever the director and producer tell her to come on the set, she has to, with discipline, she has to go there and go at that particular time. So these planets, Shani and Ketu they show that all that hard work, all the labor that she does. But when you look at this chart, you can see that she's a very powerful lady. But even, to be fair, even in the Rasi chart, you can see that Venus and Moon, the 2 planets of entertainment, those 2 planets are aspecting the 10th house. Because physically what she does is not just hard work. She is physically doing some emoting, some acting. So there has to be some influence, even at the physical level. But the bottom line is, had you been guessing the career based on this chart, it's very difficult to come up with the right career. But if you use this chart, it's extremely clear.
It doesn't show that she will be in service, right? Like she says,
Pardon me?
be a business person.
Yes, you are jumping ahead. In Dashamsa, you say that the 6th and 7th houses are key houses. 6th house is the house of service, and the 7th house is the house of business. That is basically the standard thumb rule. The reason being, this is Kama Trikona, this is the house of desire. So one who has a lot of desires, they will basically going to have their own business. They are not happy, they are not satisfied. But 6th house is working hard. So this is the house of service. That is the thumb rule that Parani is referring to. So he said, looking at this chart, she is not in service, she is in business. But again, that's a thumb rule. It doesn't necessarily mean business. And for all you know, she may have a very successful business. Yeah, and even now, she is proven to be a businesswoman. Even though she works hard, she is not at somebody's mercy. She is not really in service in the context of 6th house context. She basically chooses her movies based on her desires. So 7th house is playing a role. But bottom line is, those thumb rules don't necessarily work. You may see a businessman who works very, very hard for his own business. In his chart, 6th house may be still very strong. If you apply the thumb rule, you will say that he is in service, not in business. So thumb rules work only 99%. You have to be intelligent to apply them properly. Yes, Kiran?
So what is the implication of the 6th lord is Saturn in 10th house? Now,
10th house? Oh, you are talking about the Rashi.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
What does the 6th lord show?
service,
Service and also enemies, quarrels. So she will make a lot of enemies in her career. There will be a lot of enemies. That's what it shows.
Also, nice Grahamanga yoga.
Yes, there is a nice Brahman. Even in Rashi.
Rashi, no. Rashi,
From Sun to Jupiter.
only 4 houses, right? It should
Yeah.
be 5 houses.
4 is enough. 4 is enough for Graha Malika Yoga. He is talking about, again, he is jumping ahead. He is talking about a yoga called Graha Malika Yoga. The yoga is, if there are planets in consecutive signs, without a sign being empty, if there are planets in consecutive houses, without counting Rahu and Ketu, just with the 7 planets, if you have continuously 4 or more houses occupied by planets other than Rahu and Ketu, it's called Graha Malika Yoga. Basically, planetary Galilean combination. That's how you translate that. And what that shows is, that shows some particular success. That's a very positive yoga. Very powerful people have that yoga. That shows in life there will be some transformation, because of which there will be lot of success. And if you see the Rashi chart here, yes.
Did you say the houses are more than 4 or more houses?
4 or more.
4 or more.
Yeah, here for example, from the 2nd house, there is Sun here, Mercury here, Venus, Moon here. We don't count Rahu. Venus, Moon here, and here Jupiter. So starting from Sun and ending in Jupiter, starting in 2nd house and ending in the 5th house, there is a Graha Malika Yoga.
That means, just to explain again, you have 4 grahas in 4 houses.
It can be 4 grahas or 5 grahas or 7 grahas,
Okay.
but minimum of 4 grahas.
Okay.
Had this house been empty,
Yeah.
this is not Graha Malika Yoga.
Okay.
Because all the houses have planets other than Rahu and Ketu. Out of the 7 planets, at least 1 planet is in each house. At least 1 planet. And it is consecutively 4 houses. So this is a Graha Malika Yoga. And the results of the yoga are given based on the starting sign and the ending sign. This is 2nd house and this is 5th house. So 2nd house, because this is a physical chart, it doesn't really show wealth. It shows resources like face. 1st house is head, 2nd house is face, 3rd house is neck. Like the different body parts are associated with the houses, and 2nd house is face. So it starts in face and 5th house. 5th house is basically popularity, etc. So that is one interpretation. There are so many different interpretations that you can do. We'll do that later when we do yogas. But yes, there is a Graha Malika Yoga. But in Dashamsa, where is Graha Malika Yoga?
Starting from Mars.
But there is Ketu here. It's not really, it's not a complete Graha Malika Yoga. This is a very weak one. If a house has has to complete the garland with the help of Rahu and Ketu. It's not a Grahmalka yoga. Here you see that I'll erase Lagna and Ketu. Lagna is not counted. I said Rahu, Ketu are not counted. So if I erase it, are there planets consecutively from here to here? No. So there is no Grahmalka yoga. But in the Rasi chart there is.
Related question.
Yes, go ahead.
Again, it's back to Saturn. Since Saturn is
In Rasi chart?
yeah,
Okay, I'll not erase it. Go ahead.
Saturn is a lot of system systems.
Yeah.
So when we are studying the effects of Saturn with respect to the 10th house and
Yeah.
also being a lot of the system effects,
Yeah.
so will be what's the relationship we need to employ here to say that okay, fifth one takes more of precedence over the sixth river.
Okay. Good question. The question is, which houses does Saturn own in this chart? Let's just forget all planets. Let's just look at Saturn. Okay? What Kiran is asking is, how do you see the impact of Saturn on this person's career? So we only know that the person has Virgo Lagna. And Saturn is in the 10th house. What is the impact? When you say, because he is the 6th Lord, he is in the 10th house, it can mean enemies. And also working hard. And 5th Lord is in the 10th house. 5th house shows popularity, support, fame, etc. So 5th Lord being in the 10th house can show somebody who is very famous. So what he asked is, how do you basically distinguish which one will prevail? The answer is, none of them prevail. Neither of them prevail. Both of them will give their results. She may be very popular, and yet she may have enemies. So both of them will give their results, and when? Again, that depends on the dasha. So when planets who are in the 5th house, or who have Argala on the 5th house, or who have Rasi Drishti or Graha Drishti on the 5th house. A couple of classes back, we talked about Rasi Drishti, Graha Drishti, Argala, Virodha Argala. So I said that these are the ways in which planets can influence various houses. And I said we also went through what is the difference between the three kind of influences, Rasi Drishti, Graha Drishti and Argala. So based on the Argalas or Drishtis, aspects of planets on these two houses, a particular planet's Dasha or Antardasha may make Saturn give results relating to one house more than the other. Again, when we will go through Dashas, we will try to take this example and see when she rose to fame, when she had a lot of quarrels, made a lot of enemies in the industry. We will try to time it using the Dashas and Antardashas. So now, going back to this table, you will see that there are 16 charts, and DN with N between 1 to 12, they show existence in the physical plane. From 13 to 24 is the plane of consciousness, not necessarily physical. And 25 to 36 are subconscious. And then above supra-conscious, so to say. So I'll quickly say what it means before you get confused. When you make the chart D1, for example, D1 is basically just Rasi chart, physical chart. D2 is Hora. If you look at the table, you will see that there is the chart of wealth and money. D3 is siblings. And this is money. And this is body. So on. If you say D4, that is fortune, it is basically properties, etc. The house you live in, the houses you own, the real estate you own, all these properties are seen in D4. Like this, there are, you have, you don't have all the 12 charts, 1 to 12, but there are some charts like D1, D2, D3, D4. There's no D5 chart, for example. There's no D6 chart, at least in Parasara's text. But up to D12, whatever charts that you find in this table, up to 12, those charts will shed light on the physical existence of the person. So body is physical. Then wealth, again it is physically what you command. And then siblings, again they exist physically. Parents, they exist physically. Children, they exist physically. Then career is basically some activities that you perform physically. So all these things, all these charts up to 12, they shed light on your existence in the physical plane. This is the physical plane of existence. And from 13 to 24, what are the charts? Can you see this table and tell me what are the charts that are given in this table where the number is between 13 and 24? 16, 16, 20 and 24. What is D-16 all about? Can you read what is given there? Mental unhappiness. This is basically the mental sukha and asukha. Pardon me?
Why is vehicle excluded and that's also physical, right?
Yeah, that is given in the text. It is a physical thing, but this actually shows the comfort that you feel because of the vehicle. This is basically about mental comfort, the mental feeling of fulfillment, luxury, the mental suffering. So this is the chart of the mental state, D-16.
All these are dominated by the moon, that means is it
Basically, no, but not exactly. Because when I say, I did not say mind here. I purposely said physical plane of existence. I did not say mental plane of existence. I said the plane of consciousness. Consciousness is different from mind. Mental is one aspect of consciousness. The other aspect is intellectual. Intellectual existence is also, your intellectual existence is a form of your consciousness. It's not subconscious. The intelligence, the intellectuality is conscious. It's an extension of the mind. Manas, buddhi, chitta, all these are in the consciousness layer. There are so many different variations. All of them are not just mind. There are extensions of the mind like chitta, buddhi. These are all related to the consciousness. So these charts will show existence in the level of consciousness. So one is your sukha, D-16. What is the next chart? D-20. What is that chart about? Religious activities and spiritual matters. Though I said religious activities and spiritual matters, basically what this chart shows is your spiritual evolution. Spiritually, how you evolve. So again, what is spirituality? Spirituality is, it's an intellectual, it's a consciousness thing. It's a thing that exists in the plane of consciousness, not necessarily in the plane of in the physical plane. Even though when I say these charts are in the plane of consciousness, they do result in some things that you do at the physical level. When you, for example, there is a spiritual evolution that you are going through. Because of that, you may be reciting a mantra. That is a physical activity. So I am not saying that relating to all these charts, there will not be any physical activity. There may be some physical activity relating to these charts. But what I am saying is, each of these charts, their focus is something relating to your consciousness. In D-16, the focus is your happiness. In D-20, the focus is your spiritual upliftment, your spiritual evolution. And in D-24, the focus is your learning, knowledge and education. That's what you will see if you look at the table. D-24 is the chart of learning. So again, that is relating to your intelligence, your intellectual existence, which is in the plane of consciousness. And now higher than that plane, there is a higher than manas, buddhi and chitta. There is a plane called plane of subconscious existence. So when you are happy about something, you are conscious of it. You are thinking about it. When you spiritually, when you are doing a puja, or when you try to understand how this universe is working, when you are meditating on a God, when you understand what that God stands for, again you are thinking of something. You are conscious of certain thing. And when you are learning something, when you are listening to my whatever I am saying, and when you understand what D-24 or D-20 stands for, you are again thinking. You are conscious of the fact that particular chart shows particular things. Again, this is working in the plane of consciousness. But there are certain things that you are not conscious of. Those forces are working within you, but you are not conscious of them. These are called subconscious factors. So somebody may be subconsciously, when somebody may be angry, prone to anger. He may not know why he is angry. When he sees a particular color or a particular kind of words or particular activity, one may subconsciously become angry. And it's not just negative. There can be positive subconscious factors also. So there are subconscious factors behind what we do. And the charts that throw light on subconscious factors impacting somebody's existence are D-27, also known as Nakshatramsa or Bhamsa, and then Trimsyamsa, D-30. These are the two charts given by Parasara which talk about your existence at the plane of subconsciousness, subconscious existence. And I said here that D-27 that shows your subconscious impulses that are driving you, the subconscious strengths and weaknesses. Yes, and the inherent nature of a person. Yes, Kiran. What are the planets? You look for all planets. You look for all planets in all charts. Like you are saying, for mind, Moon is the planet. For learning, Mercury is the planet. So for D24, Mercury is the main Karaka planet. For D16, because it's a chart of mental happiness and unhappiness, and you said that no, Moon is mind. The D16 is based on 16. It's also got Kalamsa because there are Shodasa Kalas. Moon has 16 phases. 0, 1 over 15, 2 over 15, 3 over 15 and up to 15 over 15, full. Amavasya to Purnima. Amavasya, Pajami, Dvitiya, Tritiya, Chaturthi, up to Purnimasya. So there are 16 phases of Moon. Similarly, D16 basically throws light on the 16 phases of your mind. You are totally depressed, you are totally excited, you are happy to some extent, you are less happy, you are more happy. So these are the 16 phases of your mind that the D16 talks about. It's also known as Kalamsa, not just Shodasamsa. So like this you are asking for the subconscious impulses, what are the planets? Again, Moon is said to be still a relevant planet for the subconscious existence.
Other numbers, they do not exist, that means they don't have a chart, or
Pardon me?
you are missing.
No, I'm not saying they don't have a chart. When you make Siddhamsa, for example, all the 9 planets and Lagna will be placed. For example, when I made Dashamsa of Aishwarya Rai, we had all the planets there, right?
No question on that. Like
Yeah.
16, there are missing numbers.
Oh, D17, D18.
Yes, so they don't exist.
We don't have a chart. It doesn't mean that they don't exist. It doesn't. It means that those charts don't really show something very important. So Parasara did not talk about it. But technically, you should have division by any number, technically. Why D10 is calculated in that particular way? Why are we, after making 10 parts, why are we counting from the same side and the 9 from there for odd and even signs? Why? We don't really understand the basics of how all these things are defined. When you say Siddhamsa, you divide a Rasi into 24 parts and you count those 24 parts always from Cancer or Leo. The one reason I heard is one is Ganesha, one is Saraswati, one is Paravidya, one is Aparavidya. So there are some higher reasoning behind it, but I know only little bit of it, only the tip of iceberg. But there is higher reasoning behind all this. Maharshis did not arbitrarily come up with these formulas. Anything, take it from me, anything given in scriptures by sages of the stature of Parasara and Jaimini, it is not arbitrary. For example, when we did the calendars, the Amanta and Shuklanta lunar calendars, when we did all the calendars, you saw that everything had reason. Nothing was arbitrary. Even the meanings of houses, when we defined Dharma Trikona, Artha Trikona, everything had a basis. When we looked at the weekday laws, the order, again it had a basis based on the Horas. Nothing is arbitrary. Everything has a very, very subtle reasoning. And we are unfortunately not intelligent enough to understand all of it. We only understand a little bit of each thing. Especially when it comes to divisional charts. We don't appreciate the exact reasoning behind the definition of each chart. We only know some of it. We don't know all of it. If one of you becomes a Maharshi of the stature of Parasara, to understand the reasoning behind everything, it will become just common sense to you to define D17, how it is computed, what matters you see from it. But unfortunately, none of us is yet at that level. So let's ignore those charts. Let's just take these 16 charts. And in addition, there are charts known as D5, D6, D8 and D11, which were given by other scholars like Jaimini and Nilakantha. So some people use those. But let's stick to Parasara, because this is more than enough. There is even a chart called Nadyamsa, Ardhanadyamsa, which is based on 150 divisions and 300 divisions of the Rasis. Those are used in some parts of India. apart from these rasis. But let's stick up to D-60. And then final, D-30 I left. So Nakshatramsa shows your subconscious impulses and subconscious drives, subconscious factors that are driving you, driving whatever you do. And Trimshamsa, D-30, that shows the evils, the subconscious forces that are making you do bad things. These are the evils within a person and also the punishment that you get because of it. So this is the chart of evils, of the Papa Purusha within each person. In each person there is a Papa Purusha. Just like I said, there is a God within you, there is a Jupiter within you as your intelligence, there is a moon within you as your mind, there is a Vamana within you as your humility, there is a Balichakravati within you as your arrogant giving nature, as your proud giver within you. So I said that there is all these characters of mythologies. They exist in the whole universe and also in a microcosmic form within you. Similarly, there is a Papa Purusha within you. He exists as your Shadripus, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. I counted only 5. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. So there are 6 enemies within us. These 6 enemies are the 6 faces of the Papa Purusha. So there is a Papa Purusha within us. And this chart D-30, it talks about the Papa Purusha within you. It shows how what are the strong faces of the Papa Purusha within you when they show their face. So those are the things you can see from that chart. And then there are 3 additional charts that I wrote, D-40, D-45 and D-60. Khavedamsa or Chatvarimsamsa, Akhavedamsa or Panchachatvarimsamsa, and finally Shastiamsa. These are very, very subtle charts. And they talk about your existence not in the physical plane, not in the plane of consciousness, not in the subconscious plane, but in the supra-conscious plane. So this is a plane which you don't know anything about. Only your soul knows about it. Your soul is completely aware of that plane of existence, and only your soul exists in that plane. But that plane of existence has a great impact on you. What your soul has done in the past life and what it remembers, it has a great, extremely important impact on what you do in this life, but we are not even aware of it. This plane, nobody is aware of except great Maharishis or great yogis, great sadhakas. Only they are aware of this plane of supraconscious existence. This is basically the karmic plane, the plane of karma, the plane of existence which carries the imprint of whatever you have done in the past life. And D-40, it shows inherited karma from the maternal side. What I mean is not the mother of past life, but the mother of this life, because she has certain karma she inherits from her ancestors. Your mother's mother, your mother's father, your mother's father's father, your mother's great-grandfather, all of them, when they do certain good things or bad things, some impact of that will come to you. That impact is seen from D-40 chart. And similarly, D-45 chart, that shows father's side. It shows father's side. So that shows your father's father, father's father's father, father's father's mother, father's 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 mother. So all these people, all the karma that they did, because of it, any bad karma they did or good karma, you will get some blessings or curses. So you may not be able to see it in any other chart, but just because those curses or blessings are there in that chart, it can give its impact. You may see that in a particular family, maybe there was one example where I saw that whenever the people in that family get married, especially males in that family get married, there is some suffering. There is somehow the marriage breaks immediately, or the marriage is extremely unhappy. And it comes out that when we looked at the chart of that native, when we looked at the D40 or 45, D40, when we looked at the D40, there was a curse. A few generations back, then some unfortunate thing happened in their family, and because of it, there was a curse of a lady on that family, and it will work for 7 generations. Anything that you see in D40 and D45, you should go only up to 7 generations on both maternal and paternal sides. And you can see what karma a particular ancestor did, because of which certain suffering comes. And again, based on dashas, you can see when a particular blessing or curse gives this result. But I will say that these 2 charts are not so important for normal people. Parasara defined, after defining Shodasha Vargas, he defined so-called Dashavarga, which is basically 10 important charts extracted out of these 16 charts. And those 10 charts, he said, are important for normal Manushya Jataka, which means normal human being charts. Those are the important charts. Not that this doesn't play a role, but this is less important. In cases where you see a severe cut or a great blessing in one of these two charts, there you should make predictions based on it. Otherwise, you can just ignore this chart. Or if somebody says there are some unfortunate things happening in their family for 2 or 3 generations, then you should consult this chart. Otherwise, you may leave this chart very safely. And the next chart, D-60, is among the Dashavargas given by Parasara, but these 2 charts are not there. They are there only in Shortsvargas. And the thing about Dasha and Shortsvargas is, Dashavargas are appropriate for normal human beings, and Shortsvargas are important for kings. In royal horoscope, not normal Manushya Jataka, but when you see Raja Jataka or royal horoscope, kings, look at the charts of kings and queens and princes, then these charts are extremely important. These are as important as other charts. You do not leave them. Because the reason being, when somebody is a king, whatever karma he does, he or she does, a king or queen does, the karma is very, very huge. The karma impacts the lives of thousands of people. There may be an unfair war that a king or a president may engage in, because of which thousands of people may have died, unfortunately. And because of the results of that karma have to be borne on the shoulders of whoever comes next, the people who are born in that vamsa. So these 2 charts are more important in royal horoscope than in normal human beings horoscope. And then finally, Shastiamsa, D-60. This chart is extremely important. Parasara said, when Parasara said, in Dashansha you see career, in Siddhansha you see learning, in Vinshansha you see Upasanaya, Vijnanam, Sadhyam Vinsati Bhagake, which means the knowledge of Upasana you see from D20. Like that he gave the things to be seen from various charts, and when it came to Shastiamsa, he did not give a specific matter. He said, Shastiamse Akhilam Ikshayet. It means Shastiamse, in Shastiamsa, Akhilam, everything, Ikshayet, may be seen. So that means everything can be seen in that chart. So that doesn't really say much, except that it is very important. But what I learned from my gurus is, this is usually kept secretive in families where and traditions where this chart is used. They keep it secretive, but this chart is supposed to show the past life. Using this chart, you can see exactly what somebody did in past life. And you may wonder, how can somebody be sure of past life? When I say somebody was a great scholar in past life, he went abroad, he established a great religious institute abroad or something like that, you can believe it or you cannot. You may or may not believe in it. There is no proof. But the thing is, there are certain things that you can verify. Certain things you can't verify, but certain things you can verify. For example, when you see how somebody died in one life, in the past life, that results in some phobias in the current life. For example, there is something known as Arudha Lagna. And the third house, I will define it in maybe like next class or the class after that. If you see the third house from Arudha Lagna, according to Jaimini, that shows how somebody died. The nature and the environment of one's death. Whether it is sukha, natural, comfortable death, or a very cruel death, or a sudden death, what kind of death. So, for example, in a gentleman's chart, who showed his chart to me, not showed, I saw his chart, he's a great astrologer himself. When I saw his chart, I saw that in Shastiamsa, the third from Arudha Lagna has moon in it, exalted moon. And according to Shastra, exalted moon shows, in third from Arudha Lagna shows, death in water, Jalamarana. So, in all likelihood, that person died by drowning in water in the past life. If that is true, if the Shastiamsa chart is accurate, he should have hydrophobia in this life. When I asked him whether he has hydrophobia, he does have hydrophobia in this life. He did have hydrophobia in this life, which he is slowly working. Similarly, another person, he has, in the third from Arudha Lagna, he has Ketu. And what Ketu shows is mistake. Ketu in the third from Arudha Lagna shows death by some kind of mistake. Some mistake happened, and because of it, he died. So what that means is, for example, some states were loose, staircases, and then he was holding on to it, maybe he fell down, something like that. So those people in this life, they tend to be very, very, very careful. when they, whatever they are doing, they are somehow scared that something will happen, something untoward will happen. So they do not hold on to the rail cases. They are conscious. If there is something very heavy that is hanging on them, they are somehow, for an inexplicable reason, they are scared that it may fall on them. They think of all these weird possibilities. Because they died because of a mistake in the past life, they are extremely sensitive to the possibility of a mistake happening, taking away their life. So one person had Ketu in Sagittarius. Ketu in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign that stands for fall. Ketu in Sagittarius in the third from Arudha Lagna in Shastiamsa. So in all likelihood, if Shastiamsa was right, I keep saying Shastiamsa is right because in Shastiamsa, Lagna will change from one Rasi to another in 2 minutes on average. So unless you are very sure of the time, by 2 minutes, you can't be sure that this chart is accurate. The Lagna can change, Arudha Lagna can change, everything can change. But in that person's case, I looked at his life events and tried to fix the time. And after fixing it, I saw that Ketu in Sagittarius was in this house. So he must have died by falling from a height because of a mistake. So he told me that, he confirmed that whenever he's at a height, holding railings, staircase railings, he somehow, there is an inexplicable fear within him that something may go wrong, which confirms that this is how he died. Another lady had Venus in Sagittarius in the third from Arudha Lagna. Venus shows vehicles. Sagittarius again shows fall. So Venus in Sagittarius in the third from Arudha Lagna means death by fall. So I asked her, are you afraid of heights, especially when you are in a vehicle? She said, yes. I'm so surprised that you found it, because when she goes on a bridge, she drives cars. But whenever she is going on a bridge with water, a raised bridge basically, she somehow, there is an inexplicable feeling in what will happen if this falls down. She gets all these negative thoughts. What will happen? Oh my God, that will be bad, like this. She has all these thoughts. So like this, there are inexplicable fears, inexplicable phobias that you can see from the way somebody died in the past life. So this is one verification.
It also indicates how somebody will die in this life?
In the Rasi chart. In the Shastiamsa chart, if you see this, you will see how somebody died in past life, and so phobias of this life. But if you see in this life, Arudha Lagna, the third from there, you will see how somebody will face end in this particular life. Yes. So we'll talk about that later. But why we mentioned this is, some people may not believe in past life, but there are so many examples that convince me that all this is right. Past life is there, and Shastiamsa is the chart that shows past life. So if you see somebody's chart, for example, Shastiamsa chart, if you see Jupiter in, let's say, 10th house, he was an astrologer or he did some dharmic work in society. So you can be very sure of it. That means that knowledge will come very easily to in this life. There was, for example, somebody who was born here in Massachusetts. He's a Westerner, he's an American. But when a Dasha card, I talked about more Dasha in a previous class, I showed that is the chart, that is the Dasha that shows the Mula of whatever happens to you in this life. So apart from Vimshotri Dasha, there is a very important Dasha. And according to Mula Dasha, when Jupiter Dasha came, he got into astrology. He suddenly got into Hinduism. He got into astrology. He became a very good astrologer in the Jupiter's Mula Dasha. And he had in Shastiamsa, he had Jupiter in the 4th house, along with I think Ketu, which shows learning Jupiterian knowledge, learning traditional astrology or Vedas or sacred knowledge basically, learning that knowledge. So he learned that knowledge in past life. So when Jupiter's Dasha came in this life, that knowledge came just very naturally to him. So you can use Shastiamsa not only to see what somebody did in past life, but to see the result of it in this life. Whatever you do, you will get the result of it. Dharma rakshata rakshita. If you save dharma in past life, it will save you. So whatever good you did in past life, you will get the fruits of it. Whatever bad you did, you made somebody unhappy. You were cruel to your spouse and you made your spouse unhappy in past life, let's say. Then there will be some suffering in your marriage because of it in this life. So by looking at Mula Dasha and by looking at this Shastiamsa, you can say a lot about what will happen. Something that you will miss using Vinchotri Dasha. You can catch it using this Moradasha and Shastiamsa. But in any case, this is the chart, Shastiamsa, that shows what you did in past life, and because of it, what karma has to be experienced in this life. All the other divisional charts, including Rasi chart, only show the medium through which you experience that karma. Shastiamsa alone is the chart that shows what karma you have to experience, what you did in past life, what is the balance at the karmic level, what is the balance that you have to experience in this life. So that is Shastiamsa, the karma you experience, and what is the vehicle, medium through which you experience that karma, this body, this knowledge, this career, this car, this wife, these are all the medium through which that karma is experienced. The actual karma, whether it is auspicious or inauspicious, is from Shastiamsa. So Shastiamsa is actually even more important than Rasi and Navamsa. There is a Bala called Vimshopaka Bala. When Parasara defined it, he gave some strengths, some numbers to each divisional chart, each of the 10 divisional charts, and he gave the highest number to Shastiamsa. And also when defining what to see in each chart, he said Shastiamsa Akhilam Ekher. So all this makes it very clear that this chart is extremely important. It shows the unfinished karma from the past life. But my advice is don't hurry into this chart, because in every 2 minutes this chart changes. The Lagna in this chart changes. So unless you are absolutely sure that you have the right birth data, your readings will be random. Not only inaccurate, just random. You are taking some Lagna, even though Lagna is this, you are taking 3 signs away. If it is 6 minutes off, you are taking 3 signs away. Everything is totally off. Only when you use all other charts, see when somebody went to college, when somebody finished education, when somebody came to US, when somebody got married, when the first child was born, when the second child was born, if you have all these details, if you fix the correct time based on them, then you can use this chart to see something about one's past life and the results to be experienced because of it. So those are the charts, and I'll just read the chart and the results again once more and try to memorize it for the next class. Even if you don't just carry this particular handout with you always, because I will ask you, where do you see parents? Then you have to answer me. So keep this handout with you. Rasi or D1 shows the physical existence. Hora or D2 shows wealth and money. And Drakana or D3 shows siblings. When I say siblings, spouses of siblings, the in-laws of siblings, all these are from this chart. Everything related to siblings from this chart.
Third house is usually for siblings.
Yes.
So is a correlation with...
There is a correlation actually. If you notice the whole thing, there is a correlation. Chaturthamsa or Turyamsa are also known as Chaturamsa. This chart, D4, it shows your residence, your properties, real estate, etc., your fortune basically. And then Saptamsa or D7 shows all your children, grandchildren, children's spouses, etc., things related to progeny. And Navamsa shows, this is a very important chart. Apart from Shastiamsa, Rasi, the third important chart is Navamsa. In terms of Vimshopaka, the highest chart is Shastiamsa, second highest are Rasi and Navamsa. They are equally important. Navamsa is the chart of your dharma, because 9th house is dharma. Navamsa is the chart of dharma, and this also shows marriage, because marriage is not just about kama, it is about dharma. So marriage and spouse are also seen from Navamsa. It also shows your internal abilities, because internal abilities are what defines your dharma. Every person does not have the same dharma. A rickshaw driver and a great leader at a mutt, they have different dharmas. The way God judges their activities are different. He applies different yardstick. So Navamsa is basically the yardstick that is applied to your karma. That is your dharma. That is the yardstick by which you will be measured. And hence that is also the chart of your abilities. And it also shows your wife, spouse. So this is a very, very, very crucial chart. We will go through it in detail. We'll see a lot of examples later. Dashamsa or D10 is the chart of career. Dwadashamsa or D12 is the chart of parents. Shodashamsa or Kalamsa is the chart of pleasures and sadness, happiness and unhappiness, comfort and discomfort. Vimshamsa or D20 is the chart of religious activities, religiousness and spirituality. Chaturvimshamsa or Siddhamsa or D24 is the chart of learning, knowledge and education. Basically, intellectual evolution. That is basically what it stands for. Bhamsa or Nakshatramsa, also known as D27, shows subconscious impulses, subconscious strengths and weaknesses, the subconscious factors behind what motivates one. That is why it's based on a seed of 3. 27 is equivalent to 3 if you remove 12 multiples. So this is based on a seed of 3. This is basically the subconscious initiative behind one's activity. And then D30 is the chart of your Papa Purusha, evils and punishment. Basically the subconscious forces that make you do bad things.
What is the example of this one?
D30?
Yeah.
There may be a period when you are very angry. And that anger is basically a phase of the Papa Purusha within you that's showing up. So anger, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsaya, all the Shadvipu, not Shadvaga, Shadvipu. They are phases of Papa Purusha. They are seen from Pumsamsa. And then Khavedansa, Chatvarinsansa, D40 is the chart of inherited karma from the maternal side, and D45, Aksharadansa or Panchachatvarinsansa is the chart of inherited karma from the paternal side, and Shastiamsa is the chart of all matters or your inherited karma from past life. Your past life and the karma inherited from the past, not inherited but carried over. The karma carried over from the past life, that is Shastiamsa. So, each chart basically looks the same. You have 12 Rasis, 9 planets and Lagna placed in one side or the other. It looks exactly the same. The principles of judging it are exactly the same. But when you see the meaning of each house, we went through all the 12 houses in a previous class. We said Artha Trikona, Dharma Trikona, Kama Trikona, Moksha Trikona, the seed of the Trikona, the focus point of the Trikona, and the culmination point of the Trikona. So like that we derived the basic axiom behind the meanings of 12 houses. So we apply the same principles, but based on what a particular chart shows, what area of life it is operating in, the meanings will be different. When you say somebody's abilities, the 5th house is, I said abilities, right? Abilities. For learning, the abilities are different. For spiritual evolution, the abilities required are different. They are reading mantras, etc. For learning, it is scholarship. For career, it is your following. So the meanings will slightly vary based on which varga you are looking at, which divisional chart you are looking at. But the basic axiom is the same. So we'll go through a few more examples, a few examples of the divisional charts. But if you understand divisional charts correctly, you can really make very accurate readings, because with Rasi chart, to make good readings, you have to have Vagbala. You have to be a sadhaka who has good Vagbala. But with divisional charts, this is not just intuition. You are using partly intuition, but significantly you are using Shastra. There is a scientific basis given by Parasara. So you can give very accurate readings using divisional charts. We'll go through it as we progress. We'll go through more. And don't think that divisional charts are advanced concepts. When you look at some astrology textbooks, they don't talk about divisional charts at all. They talk about Rasi. And then, because they are not looking at the right chart, they have to give vague explanations. When they say, if you look at Aishwarya Rai's chart, to explain why she is an actress, they will say Venus and Moon are aspecting. But there are so many other planets aspecting. So, those rules work. But the thing is, if you have to make predictions based on only those rules, it's very tough. You have to really guess a lot and you have to have very good intuition. But when you use the right charts, it becomes easier. So some people think that divisional charts are an advanced concept that you should teach after teaching all astrology. But the approach I'm going to take is, I'm going to teach divisional charts at the beginning. So whenever we see some examples, we'll directly go to the right divisional chart, then things will become so crystal clear. You don't have to bend around the back or beat around the bush. Things will become very clear. That is why, not just me, Parasara defined divisional charts even before he defined houses in his classic, Brihat Parasara Hora Shastram. So we have all the basics laid out, the 4 pillars of Vedic astrology: Rasi, planets, houses, and divisional charts. All the 4 pillars are ready now. So also we know argalas, we know aspects, etc. So as we see more examples and see how exactly you judge a particular house in a particular varga, a particular divisional chart, things will become more and more clear. So we'll take up that in the next class, and talking about that, I'll turn off the recording. Namaste. We'll end for today.